Hi, everyone. This is Sean Gaillard with Vinyl Riffs. Some albums entertain, others become companions. Steely Dan's Asia has become one of those companions for me. Every time I put this gem on the turntable, it teaches me something new about leadership, collaboration, and what it means to pursue excellence. Some people hear this album and think that it's a fruitless quest for perfectionism. I hear something different. I hear a group of musicians reaching for something extraordinary. Let me dig in a little bit deeper and tell you a little bit about this past summer. It's been a meaningful summer. It's been a summer of great conversations, speaking opportunities. I was a featured voice at the ISTE ASCD conference in Orlando. I was able to revisit old friendships and forge new friendships. And there have been some disappointments and some closed doors and some rejections along the way. But like many of us, I've wrestled with wondering whether I'm being seen. This album, Steely Dan's Asia, reminded me that recognition and excellence are not the same thing. Perfection says, I'll never be good enough. Excellence says, let's see what's possible. Let's see what's behind that closed door. Excellence is different than perfection. And leadership isn't demanding flawless people. Leadership is inviting people to become their very best. And that's a huge difference. There's a moment on the title track of this album, Asia, that just stops me in my tracks each time. It's that moment, if you're familiar with the song, after the first chorus, where the instrumental break happens and the rhythm guitar settles into a groove. Steve Gadd, Dr. Steve Gadd, that incredible drummer, his percussion just starts going up this incredible level of polyrhythms and backbeat. Wayne Shorter, the iconic jazz saxophonist, his saxophone just doesn't interrupt the music. It becomes part of the conversation. And the great percussionist on vibes, Victor Feldman, is just shimmering with those vibes. And you just hear this moment where everyone is locked in. I can imagine the Steely Dan founding members, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen, like giving each other the nod, like, hey, this is actually happening. And then, of course, that whistle that Fagan starts, bursting through that instrumental break. And every time I hear it, I smile. Why? Well, during that part, no one is trying to dominate. Everyone's locked in to a groove. Everyone's in the pocket. Everyone's listening. Everyone's responding. And that listening, that response that's happening within that instrumental break, it serves the song. So leadership sounds a lot like that. So here's a bridge for you. Great schools, great leadership teams, great organizations, great bands, great families, great teams. Nobody has to play every instrument, right? Everyone simply brings their best, or as my dad says all the time, everyone's off the bench, everyone plays. Leadership isn't about creating the loudest voice or the perfect solo. It's about creating the conditions where every voice matters and where every voice makes the whole stronger. And to me, that's the foundation of this masterpiece. Now, Becker and Fagan, when they recorded this album in 1977, they've had their share of criticism. Um, they were known for being very meticulous in the studio. They were known for being demanding. There were too many takes for songs, and maybe, but here's what endures, 50 years later. We're still talking about Asia. We're still talking about this album. It's still being reprinted and reissued and rediscovered. Masterpieces rarely arrive on someone else's schedule. Again, when this album was made, there's no precedent. There was no template for an album like this, which makes it unique. And then also, Becker and Fagan, they were not concerned about hits or metrics or data or selling points. They were willing to deal with the criticism and they were willing to deal with rejection. Now, rejection has been teaching me a lot lately, and I've really been focusing on on the lessons and the silver lining that comes out of rejection. And I've learned something over the last few weeks of travel and speaking and connecting with folks. Rejection doesn't define the work. Rejection doesn't define you or me. It just simply refines the worker. It recalibrates. It invites us back to the craft, back to the calling, back to the gig, back to the reason why we started in the first place. I don't need every door to be opened, right? I just need to keep showing up for the work. We just need to keep showing up for the gig. So think about this, those of you that are listening and tuning in, whether you are leading a classroom, whether you are leading a school, a district, a team, an organization, a particular shift in the warehouse, whatever it may be, or whether you're just simply leading yourself, ask yourself, what does excellence look like today? It's not perfection. It's just your very best. And then invite others to bring their excellence. Invite others to bring their gifts, their strengths, their ideas. That's how masterpieces are made. Asia isn't one of my favorite albums because it's technically brilliant, although it is. It isn't considered a masterpiece because of the audiophile nature of it, and of course that's important as well. You know, it did win a Grammy for Best Engineered Album, but I keep returning to Asia because it reminds me that excellence is never a solo act. It's built on trust, listening, patience, collaboration, courage. And that courage is the courage to keep reaching for something better. It simply invites us back to the work. So keep spinning, keep grooving, and keep believing. And know that the masterpiece, your masterpiece, is ultimately an act of generosity. Becker and Fagan weren't chasing perfection for its own sake. They were creating the best listening and experience that was going to be meaningful for their listener. They were simply inviting others in on that vision to create this meaningful experience. And that's what great artists do. They honor the people on the other side of the work. Don't forget to share with the world your dreams, your ideas, your visions, your masterpiece, because the world needs those things, and you help make the world a better place. This is Sean Gaillard with Vinyl Riffs. Again, keep spinning, keep grooving, and keep believing.